Sindvusele eMaswati eNzambama kungolesithathu sesinaye ke Mr. Mngomedulu la. We are live here with Swaziland News and Swaziland Democratic News. Mr. Mngomedulu nawe eMaswati mhlambe nje Mr. Mngomedulu eMaswati besike sawa highlightela ngelisuku lalamuhla ukuthi sima on independent online media platforms sidabe sihlangene khona la eSouth Africa. Mhlawumbe nje Mr. Mngomedulu, can you please comment about the today's seminar?
Asibonge kakhulu Khababo, sibonge kakhulu ku Swaziland Democratic News. Siphinde sibonge kakhulu ku Swaziland News, sibonge nokwanda mamba. Ngini njengama journalists la khona lasiconducta khona le interview yanamhlanje. Siyabonga ke lokuthi namuhla sithathele lithuba hlangene nema journalists ema online platforms la independent aseswatini la khona siwamemile sawamemela la eSouth Africa ukuthi sesike sibe nesikhathi la khona singahlala phansi sesike siniketane ubuciko nema skills about umsebenzweni lomuhle kakhulu lenwendako ningema journalists. So siyabonga ke lokuthi nonke nithethe isikhathi nedala ngebuningi benu satofunza. Nami sekuningi nje lengufunzile ngendlela enisebenza ngayo njengoba nathi phela mina ngingummeli ngema journalists. Ngingachaza nje Khababo ukuthi umsebenzi namhlanje imedia seminar namhlanje it has been fully sponsored by inhlanganisela yebameni laba pro democratic laba seSwatini nalabaphinze babe se South Africa laba ngaphansi noma lababita ngokuthi by Lawyers for Democratic Reform in Swaziland noma ilodeswa. Ilodeswa ke is a platform lesise mkhankasweni wokuthi silaunche letawusebenza ikakhulu kusita onke eMaswati la ku mass democratic movement la hambe ahlangabetana netinkinga temthetho noma ngabe ngiliphi ngekuthi nikela nangekuthi khandla kude ukuthi bakwadi ukuthola legal representation. So ke sitheke ake sibe ne contact session with the media silethe umlonelwadi ngalomkhakha lengiwo wemedia bese mtholileke lo ngakajabu uMathebula lo ingcwedi into journalism nalo sangumkanje ubovu uyo ijournalism. So siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi usitile ke to facilitate ilanga namuhla kule training session yanamuhla. Siphinzeke saba nelithuba together with you nima journalists to interact and to exchange ideas about how to help advance the cause of the democratic revolution in Swaziland. And so we are very pleased about that. Uningi lesicabanga ukuthi nisajika nibela emakhaya ukhona nanilentawo reflecta ngako lokutawusita ukuthi umzabalazo welivela kangwane uqhubeke. So in short nje Khababo sithatha ngokuthi lokule besikuhlanganele namhlanje is to help to advance the struggle for democratic reform in Swaziland and the introduction of a new constitution in Swaziland. Lokuthi into ke lesikholelwa ukuthi dilo lokufanele ukuthi tendeke it is going to happen eSwatini ukuthi there will be democratic reforms.
Lokunye Mr. Mngomedulu lana kunenzaba Mr. Mngomedulu lewatsiza kakhulu eMaswati mhlambe nje indzaba yekuvaleleka kwakho ukuthi ungasakhoni ukuvela evela seSwatini mhlambe uchubeke nelicala lebahlonishwa. Ingabe Mr. Mngomedulu vele tabatini lesententile mhlambe kuzama ukuthola isombululo ukuthi ukhone ukuthi ungene eSwatini ukhona ukuchubeka kahle nelicala lebahlonishwa?
Well, kuvaleleka kwami Khababo ukuthi ngingasakwadi kungena eSwatini lokwendwe ngumbuso waMswati. It is quite unfortunate and it was completely unjustified. Ngicabanga ukuthi eMaswati lamaningi ngesekayadi ukuthi sizathu lesakhishwa ngilonganga Minister Lindiwe Dlamini, Minister of Home Affairs, lesabangela ukuthi kube ne banning order lethi mina ngingasangeni eOshoek. It was based on falsehood noma sisekelo saleyo decision noma leyo gazette kwaba ngemanga because kude umlongadi eSwatini ukuthi akazange Mngomezulu sekake athi tinfombi noma ingabisa sehosi ayingayemhlangeni kwasho yona ngayibuda kuthi yaya yini yathi ngabisa yini. So sabona ke ukuthi because the reason why I have been banned in Swaziland is based on lies, we then have to start a process of a judicial review of the administrative action by the minister. So we have filed those papers. It's almost 4 weeks ago now. La khona si challenge the decisions that it must set aside the decision because it is an unlawful decision, because it is based on lies, it is unreasonable, and therefore it's a decision that should not have been made. So for that reason, we filed the court papers. Kuze kube manje ke uhulumende wamswati usengakaphenduli noma kuphikisana nesicelo lenisifakile enkantolo. Lusuku lebesilicelile ke ukuthi lelo celo lingene kulo ngomhla ka28 October la sicabanga khona ukuthi licala litawusetshenziswa. So we have challenged that decision. Asihlale nethembeni ke ukuthi konke kutawuhamba kahle kude ukuthi umuntu abuye achubeke nemsebenzi wekulekelela abahlonishwa kulobu bukhulu lababhekene nabo labahlaliswe khona ngalokungekho emthethweni.
Asibonge Mr. Mgomedulu. Mhlawumbe nje Mgomedulu eMaswati uma kabona buso bakho abanalo lithemba Mgomedulu ukuthi mhlawumbe kukhona lo abatshela kona about way forward yakoke kuboshwa kwabahlonishwa. Ingabe vele Mr. Mgomedulu mhlawumbe nje highlighta khona lapho ukuthi kuqhubeka lani ngalolu cala abahlonishwa Mgomedulu njengoba sathi ukuthi kule nyanga letako kumele ukuthi lichubeke khona lapha enkantolo yaseSwatini.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu kuloko. Siyabonga Maswati lamahle licala lebahlonishwa vele litawuchubeka emavikini lamabili letako. Litawuchubeka ngemhla ka8, 9, 10 November bese sike sakusho lokho njengoba nathi kusolo lahlehliswa. Liphindze lichubeke nangemhla ka15 and 16 November. Kutabeke solo kuchubeka yona ke itrial. Lengingakusho nje kuloko ukuthi umhlonishwa baqede wafakaza wathula ubufakazi bakhe, he was cross examined, he was re-examined, so sabcetha ke cishe ubufakazi bakhe the last time sisenkantolo. Lokutaka kwenteka ukuthi kutawuphindze kubuye lelinye lithimba labofakazi litofakaza uzama kulekelela bona abahlonishwa to prove or to disprove charges lababekwe wona. So ke sitawuqhubeka ke ngalawo malanga ke insofar as the trial is concerned. But kunanaku kwelungile bengifisa ukuthi singakhohlwa noma sikwadi. Uma i-trial seyiprogress eyazi yafika la sesifike khona. Lona lo i-defense noma lo ngumbekwa cala uyaye abe nalo lungelo lokuthi aphindze afake lesinye isicelo sebail because i-judge isuke selibulalele bonke ubufakazi. Kusuke sekukuningi lokwatiwako ukuthi lo bekwelicala utati defender athini. Kusuke sekwateka futhi ukuthi akhona inema prospects ukuthi usengaliluza lelo cala lelo. So insofar as ke abahlonishwa they are concerned and having heard ubufakazi bemhlonishwa baqede siboneke kufanele ukuthi siphinde silethe lesinye isicelo sebail njengoba nathi nje sicala liyoze liphele ngaDecember. So lokukhomba kona ukuthi kusene kwenteka abahlonishwa baphindze babhekane nakhisimusi mhlambe solo i-judgment isingakayitholi. So sase siyacela ke judge ukuthi can there be a consideration again of the possibility ukuthi bahlonishwa bakhishe on bail. So sisifakile ke leso sicelo uhulumende ke wamswati waseke soyaphikisana naleso sicelo leso. Lokutakwendeka ke ukuthi singakaqhubeki ne-trial nasibuyela enkantolo sitawuqale si-check ukuthi ngeke yini sidingitse leyo bail application kungene yona kucala siyiconsiderishe then bese siyaqhubeka with the remainder of the days in the trial in the ordinary course. So perhaps that will be the one rider letawuba khona nasibuyela enkantolo kutaba nesicelo sebail kodwa ke yona i-trial isibheke ukuthi iqhubeke Maswati lamahle.
Mr. Mgomedulu lana siyabona Mr. Mgomedulu kunekungubutana lokukhona eSwatini kahle kahle Mgomedulu ingabe kukhona inlonga kusho about the recent violent events in the country.
Well, mhlambe ngaqala ngalokhu ngicabanga ukuthi ku straightforward kwa comrade Penwell Malinga le nemndeni wakhe sitholile into lebusuku singakalali ukuthi ube nokuhlaselwa ahlaselwa nebantu abakhe nemkakhe ensambama kwaphinze kwashiswa nempahla yakhe lenjengemoto. Singaqala nje ngokuthi simnxistele wamalinga nemndeni. Sivelana nawe Comrade Penuel, remain strong. We are sorry about what has happened. It is unjustified. You don't deserve it. You are innocent and it should not have happened. So we are sorry about that. And then we asked ukuthi umndeni must remain strong, and then we pray ukuthi uNkulunkulu akunikeze amandla ukwathi to replace ama assets la linyedwe. Sicolise kakhulu ngomonakalo lobhekene nawo. Siyacabanga ke khaba ukuthi lo nguyena ahola hulumende nalophethe emaphoyisa wamemetela wathi eye for an eye. So ke kuloko lokwendeke ke uComrade Penuel, we have got no doubt in our minds ukuthi this is a manifestation of the declaration by the head of state ukuthi eSwatini kufuna kube yiso ngeso. Atawukhuluma emaphoyisa nemasotsha nemawada ukuthi sikukhutile lo. Sacela ukuthi lento lebekhulunywa ngumSwati ukuthi it's an eye for an eye, wrong. They shouldn't follow it because simaSwati sisivele sincane siyadana sihlobene. Awucabanga nje nakuba ngi-eye for an eye eSwatini ukuthi lokho kusho kuthini. So there was no need for such a statement, and there is no need for the continued violence lekhona which is perpetrated against leaders in the mass democratic movement. Ngaphambilini kwaloko khabako nani nonke nje ke ndawukhumbula ukuthi there was a bomb that was set off ekhaya la Mengameli Mlungisi Makhanya, Mengameli wePhudemo, where there were also casings for bullets, high-powered rifles lasetshenziswa laphayana. So you can see ukuthi these are actions of the state. The state is at war with its own people. The state is using umthelo weMaswati to attack its citizens. So we condemn this in the strongest possible terms. It should not have happened, and we equally sympathize nemndeni wakaMakhanya kuloko lebabhekene nabo. Now, so but akusiko lokho kuphela lokwendekile. Itolo siyathi ukuthi uphinze kwabulawa emaphoyisa. Kuloko emaphoyisa ke ngenhlanhla lembi asikwati ukuthi kubangwe yini kuze kube manje. Nane ukuthi babulewe yini, criminality noma yini. So sibhekeke ukuthi labangane emaphoyisa batawu investigator bathole lobo bufakazi and then bring the perpetrators to book. But lesingakusho nje, we want to sympathize nemindeni yalamaphoyisa lafile itolo kufa kuphuma kwemphefumulo noma ngabe uphuma ngayiphi indlela. It's not a nice thing. So we sympathize with them and sivelana nabo kakhulu wangathi uNkulunkulu ngababhandishe emanxeba during this particular time. Amaphoyisa went umsebenzi wawo ba investigate bathole ukuthi leyo criminality leyo iba. I will not do what perhaps everybody does, which is to assume ukuthi njalo kufa kweliphoyisa has to do with the politics in Swaziland. I don't know. I'm a lawyer, so I go by what where the investigation leads. So they must investigate and find out what's going again. But nje imndeni yawo sicela kuyincisitela kwangathi uNkulunkulu angaba nabo during this difficult time. But lengakucela emaphoyiseni phumani kube eye for an eye, because ngiyo naleli bangele ukuthi kube naleligameko letimbili itolo gcina sekushiselwa na Penuel when there is no basis to attack his home and to attack his children in the manner that it happened. So ke kodwa ke ayibe njalo ke khabako nangabe esikhundle i-intelligence ilidwa ngekuphengula ugcine so uhambe nje usola noma engangibani unuka noma engangibani. So they must do real intelligence bangabe lokhu ba attack abantu labanganacala.
Mhlambe nje Mngomedulu kwengeda kuloko, I think it's clear to everyone as Swazi that government is not ready for calling a dialogue. And ngekubuka kwakho nje Mr. Mngomedulu, what will be the end result of this ongoing violence in the country? Mhlambe sike sakubona kulamanye emaveni akunetimo leti kanjena kwanze ukuthi kugcina sekubanga bayaphuya eveni mhlambe labanye bayalimala njengoba sike sakubona kwenteka labanye baya kubo exile mhlambe nje ngekubuka kwakho nje lesimo ukuthi ngoba sesiyabona na uhulumende ngala emphoyisa ngethe sathi mhlambe ke lawo maphoyisa aphinzisela nebantu ngala mhlambe ngekubuka kwakho sephetho sabo vele ukuthi awuba yini egcineni kwakho konke.
Okay, kule issue yakangwane sesikhulume kaningi khababo. Mhlambe umuntu angacala ngakusho nje ukuthi kube members of parliament na hulumende welive was allowed noma kube wavuma to receive petitions eminyakeni lophelile ngaMay na June 2021. Ngabe kude umuntu lofile wafela ipolitiki kuze kube manje. Onke amaphoyisa lesikhuluma ngawo nalekusolakala kusafele epolitiki ngabayaphila. Bonke labantu labalimele nalabafile ngabe bayaphila. Lokusho ukuthi there is no option to resolve any particular impasse but to dialogue and kuhlalwe phansi etafuleni kubonakala ukuthi nguphi la sishiyana khona ngisho nje ekhaya noma ngabe kucatshene vele into leyayisombulule konke kuhlala phansi ukuthi kukhulunywe. So ke eMaswati ke bekafuna ukukhuluma nema MPs labathi khethele wona ukuthi ahambise imfuno tabo eParliament noma kuHulumende. So none of this would have happened. But Hulumende wamSwati naye eMswati licobo lwakhe. He has refused consistently and persistently up until now to entertain any and all of the concerns of eMaswati. Uyakubuta nje ukuthi ngihulumende lo njani lo ngafuni ukulalela abantu bakhe. So bahlonishwa bomthandeni nabacede ngabe abekho ejele. So what is going to happen is that the government has rejected a negotiated settlement to the current political impasse, and that is going to result in a spate of violence and reprisal attacks. But once the violence has come full circle, in the final analysis, the government will have no choice but to eventually dialogue with its own people. So you can never opt out of Litafu. At some point, the government will have to talk to us. And Nazi who have been banned will have to be allowed to come back into the country and be part of the solution. So if the government has refused to talk, perhaps violence will persist because violence is the language of the unheard. But ultimately, it will result in a dialogue. Every country that has gone through a spate of violence, such as the one that we are witnessing in Swaziland now, eventually they have to sit down, they talk, they agree, and then they find each other and they progress as a country. It happened in South Africa, it happened in Mozambique, it happened in Zimbabwe, it happened in Namibia, it happened in Lesotho. It has happened literally everywhere where there has been violence of a political nature that we have seen. By the time the government comes back to its senses, the government of the day can end this once and for all. If namuhla bangathi nje kusasa, let us begin the process of a dialogue. If they can call some of us and say, we want to talk to your clients, we want to talk to the mass democratic movement, let us engage on a process of a dialogue. All of this can end. So I'm trying to say, we are where we are now. It is difficult, it is painful, but we don't have a choice. As a nation, we will have to come back and sit down at some point and dialogue so that we can find an amicable way forward. But I want to warn the monarchy and the king in particular. I want to remind him of what happened to Haile Selassie. I want to remind him of what happened to Muammar Gaddafi. I know there was the influence of the West in the whole thing. Sometimes bantu laba behave njengaye. Siphetho sabo asibi sihle. Uthembise bantu uMswati wathi utawukhuluma nabo emva kwencwala yalomnyaka. Uyaphela umnyaka manje singena kuNovember, awukakwendi lokho. Bathi wena ngumlomo longacamanga. Angathi ke kuliqiniso indoko lesikubona. You will have to send your surrogates, your protagonists to engage and dialogue with the Maswati. Our choice, you will have to do that.
Mr. Mgomedu, mhlambe sigcina nje mhlawumbe nje eMaswati atawufuna kwa Mgomedu ukuthi ingabe tabatini lententile njengelithimba lebameli mhlawumbe kubukeketa indzaba yakho kuhlukubeteka kwabahlonishwa ekhathi ejele sike seva muva nje ukuthi bake bashaya ingabe senihambe nafika phi kuzama mhlawumbe kulungisa leyo ndzaba leyo mhlawumbe ku reporter maybe kuma international organizations mhlawumbe kulungiswe leso simo ngoba angeke sathi ukuthi ngabe siyahamba sifike phi mhlawumbe siqhubeke Mgomedu ingabe khona lo ngakusho mhlawumbe uvete eMaswatini.
Well, yes, of course, yeah, that's another issue. I mean, a lot has happened in njengoba besolo issue since sagcina inkantolo kusekweni manje. Indzaba yokuhlukubetwa kwekushaywa kwabahlonishwa, which was also unjustified. Firstly, safaka sicelo enkantolo ukuthi bahambe bayobona dokotela. So, in respect of both of them, sekwendeka lokho sebambona dokotela, sebahamba babacheka. Mhlambe kuthinzeka kwabo. But indzaba yabo has been reported to a variety of international organizations, phakathi Amnesty International, phakathi International Parliamentary Union and others. But it happens futhi ifakwe nasenkantolo uma sivela. Because sicabanga ukuthi akwati ukuthi ungabopha umuntu uphinze uthi noma sombophile. So mkhungeta ndlela letinyawo bese sophinze ushaya. And by the way, labantu lesikhuluma ngabo abakalahlwa licala, they are still innocent because in terms of the Swaziland constitution you are innocent until you are proven guilty. So we are talking about innocent men emadoda emintu lahambile ashaywa kunganasithini. So that is an issue that lesingeke siyiyekele nje kalula noma ngabe bahlonishwa sekuthiwa sebaphumile ejele because the evidence is there ukuthi bashaya. So it's an issue that we will pursue to the fullest. But I think eMaswati, what they need to note from this is to understand and appreciate just how cruel the current regime is. That you will take honorable members of parliament, lock them up and then beat them up for no apparent reason. It saddens us, it angers us, and we believe we will have to pursue. But of course, ultimately, the justice will be served in these matters.
Mr. Mgomedu, any message to the mass democratic movement? That's my last question.
Well, I would want to appeal that they must remain firm, they must remain strong, they must remain resolute, and they must never give up the cause for democratic reform in Swaziland, because history will judge them right. Anybody that supports the amendment of the Constitution of Swaziland or the introduction, by the way, of a new constitution, the changes of the current system of governance from Tinkundla to a democratic system, a system that allows a Maswati, noma ngabe ungiliphi iswati umuntu nje phaca ukuthi nawe you can stand a chance yekulawula ukuthi live lakho ufuna ukuthi liphathwe kanjani, is on the right side of history. Noma ngibani lo supporter law is on the right side of history. So we want to appeal to the mass democratic movement. Remain strong, be encouraged, and never give up. And never desist from making the call that you are making, because it is a legitimate call. Siyacela ukuthi onke Maswati, they must familiarize themselves with what is it exactly that we are calling for. So we are calling for the opening up of the political space. We are calling for the amendments of the constitution. We are calling ukuthi Maswati, they must elect their own government. There shouldn't be a king here that just appoints anybody willy-nilly. It must be the Swazis that elect a government that's going to do all of that. And for us to do is to continue to support that call, in particular to support that as we make that call, we remain non-violent, we must be peaceful until such time that we achieve the outcome that we seek. I mean, that is what is expected of us to do, and that is how I can just encourage them. But it is for the government to decide how it wants the story to end. But what we are certain about, coming the others, is that the call that we are making for, and Swaziland will have to democratize, we are not going to give up. It is a fight It is a just fight, it is a legal fight that can have only one outcome, and the outcome has to be that there has to be the changes that we are calling for. Losing this one is not an option. We are not interested in losing what we are doing. We want to make sure that MPs'Lawyer they elect their own government, and we will use all legal means necessary to ensure that outcome is realized. So, the mass democratic movement must remain firm and united in particular. They mustn't allow any petty squabbles to divide them. They must be united by the principle that there must be self-rule by the people of Swaziland. And that principle above everything else must unite them such that they use any means necessary in law and possible in law to bring about that particular outcome. And I want to assure all state operatives and all the armed forces in that country, the current government and its ministers and everybody else who cares to know, there will be democratic reform in Swaziland. Get it from me, it's going to happen. We are not interested in losing this thing. We will make sure that it happens. And it doesn't matter, by the way, how many people are arrested. It doesn't matter how many leaders of the mass democratic movement are exiled. What we are talking about, it is going to happen.
Yeah, good people of Swaziland, thank you for your time. Thanks for being with us. Sesifike emaphethelweni alo-ke luhlelo lwethu-ke lwalamuhla. Maswati amahlebe lihleli naye-ke sicelo kamhlanga lapha Swaziland Democratic News. Ninato-ke tintathelile kunato la from Swaziland News na Voice of the People News. Siyabonga maswati amahle nibe nesuku lelihle saqhubeka liviki.